If you're planning to visit Zootopia, here are some details about the setting of the first film, released in February, that will help you enjoy the movie even more. Leaving the town of Tovo and moving through the forest, the film cuts to a panorama, revealing the entire architecture of the animal city. While exploring Africa, the filmmaking team discovered that predators and prey occasionally coexist peacefully near a water source. That's why Zootopia is surrounded by a large body of water. Just like in reality, animals with different habits gather together by environment. Rainforest and desert animals all come together in a city. It's a city composed of entirely latitudinal environments. The production team initially considered an interspersed, staggered design, but it didn't reflect the high degree of evolution that animals had achieved in city planning. So the final layout, similar to a theme park, is divided into 4 main districts. The city centre district is the heart of Zootopia. Extending towards 6 o'clock is Savannah Central, which contains many low-rise and other civic buildings. This is also where the Big Mac Sunny Cafe is, where Judy and Nick first meet. Tundratown is also in this area near the bay of Savannah Central. The area features a stadium called Animalium, where shows and major events are held. But in the movie, it only flashes at the beginning of the shot. The train passes the ocean bridge. The first area it passes through is Sahara Square. This block integrates the settings of Dubai, Morocco, and Las Vegas. Because desert animals are nocturnal and the days are too hot, the team connected this characteristic with Las Vegas' vibrant nightlife. They designed a large number of casinos, hotels, and other buildings for the Sahara Square area. The most representative is the Palm Aluminum Tree Luxury Hotel. The original plan was for a large adventure involving Judy and Nick to take place here. I wonder if this building will be used in the sequel. The entire architectural design of Sahara Square references human architecture in areas with sparse vegetation on Earth. One example is the Hentu architecture of West Africa. Loess, sand, and straw are mixed with water and pressed into walls. Soil is used directly as concrete, giving this kind of building natural thermal insulation and fire protection characteristics. This is ideal for hot, dry areas, including a modern, processed version of the famous Great Mosque of Djenné in Mali. The design language of these buildings advocates naturalism. Of course, they also refer to the Spanish architect, Gaudi's style, with heavy use of curves. It mimics natural structures such as honeycombs, shells, and plants. The area's topography references the Red Rock Canyon in the American Southwest, which is also similar to China's colourful Danxia landforms. Sahara Square also features a landmark, the mystical oasis. This is where Judy and Nick go to find the yaks. Passing through this area, you can see the huge climate wall at the border. In fact, it functions as a super air conditioner. It constantly blows hot air into Sahara Square and cold air onto the reverse side, addressing the issue of climate separation between regions. Passing through the climate wall, the train enters Tundratown. Snow is made here 24 hours a day. The architectural style references Nordic and Russian architecture. You can see the iconic Orthodox roofs. The Spire River in Tundratown has become a public transportation hub for animals. Then, passing through the tunnel, we arrive at the hot and humid Rainforest District. The Rainforest District is the entire city's most complex ecological region. All the buildings and neighborhoods are vertically distributed, because real-world tropical rainforests are structured as a vertical hierarchy. This creates a complex ecosystem. Rainforest trees typically range from 40 to 60 meters tall. Living things must compete upwards to acquire sunlight and energy, forming these vertically distributed systems. After civilization, animals developed vertical movement methods, such as airships. To maintain the rainforest humidity, there is uninterrupted 24-hour watering. Artificial roads intersect with the vast natural vegetation to construct the transportation system. House designs are inspired by rainforest mushrooms and incorporate the floating village designs of Indonesia and Southeast Asia. Passing through the Rainforest District, you arrive at the city centre. The design principle for the city centre is to preserve the traces of the city's evolution. Urban development is a process of merging old and new buildings, and in the Zootopia city centre, you can see a huge span of time reflected in different architectural styles. First, look at this spire. The inspiration for the red and green top on the left comes from the old Fifth Avenue buildings in New York, a high-rise style prevalent in 19th and 20th century American architecture. Then there's the Laughing Tower in the background, with its organic grid structure, a Norman Foster-style building. This mimics the Gherkin in London and the Hearst building in New York. Aside from the tall buildings, there is a bungalow from a Brooklyn, New York neighborhood and some European town buildings. Also, this layered structure is inspired by the Chrysler building in New York. The style is very obvious. The train passes through the city center district and arrives at the terminal, Savannah Central Station. The design for Savannah Central Station is inspired by New York's Grand Central Station, with the addition of classical French elements from the Gare Saint-Lazare in Paris. The horns add a modern bionic element, but initially they were not in the concept art. I think this reflects the rising status and changing trend of herbivores to a certain extent. Opposite the station is a monolithic building. This is City Hall, where the mayor's office is located, featuring a waterfall that separates its symmetrical sides. This symbolizes the solidarity of herbivores and carnivores. Finally, the ZPD police station, where the main characters work, is a landmark that symbolizes power and order. Its design prototype comes from Times Square. The design sampled the slate from Jushi, giant stone, and the crown of the Statue of Liberty. The police department was not designed as a high-rise skyscraper, partly for the convenience of dispatching officers, and partly as a cultural symbol. It represents the bedrock of social order. In the early planning phase, Judy the rabbit was supposed to be a phone operator for the ZPD. Rats transporting containers, passing information through ventilation ducts. But that plan was ultimately removed, and Judy was only made the first rabbit police officer. The use of stone elements is nowhere more apparent than at the Cliff House. The stone facade helps it blend with the cliffs. Another location is the place where Judy and Nick found the night howlers. This is the Natural History Museum, which documents the history of animal civilization. It references the Natural History Museum of Los Angeles and the Smithsonian National Museum of Natural History in Washington. There's an interesting picture when Judy meets Assistant Mayor Bellwether at the museum. In the background, a furry rabbit is picking up a stick, preparing to meet the enemy. This corresponds to the sculpture in City Hall, representing Bellwether, which is a long-haired mammoth. This references the evolution of civilization, suggesting that the moment animals stand upright and can use tools is when they become civilized. The long-haired mammoth holding a stick marks the start of animal society, the age of tools and rules. Okay, we've now completed the tour of Zootopia's districts and municipal environment. So let's take a closer look at the social structure of Zootopia, a time and place where humans never existed. While animals develop civilization in this city, there are many species you won't see. No birds, fish, reptiles, or insects. According to the screenwriters, these animals do exist on the planet, but in the first film's plot, city animals are restricted to mammals. Therefore, the sequel is likely to expand Zootopia's worldview by introducing other species, like snakes. The first film focuses on the theme of hidden conflict between the two main groups, herbivores and carnivores. The predator-to-prey ratio is about 1 to 10. All animals have evolved to walk upright and possess grasping hands knuckles so they can use tools. However, their natural structure and characteristics are preserved. One detail, no one wears shoes. Different species' hooves remain exposed as part of their characteristics. Over 18 months, the entire team eventually identified more than 64 different animal species. These species-based variants resulted in 800,000 unique models, making up the entire animal society. The animals' movements retain their original social behaviors. A loner lives alone, and we act in groups. From the smallest animal at 11 centimeters to polar bears up to 3 meters in size, the animation of Zootopia required solving a very complex problem of proportion. The team used the Nick and Judy ratio as the frame of reference to extrapolate the sizes of all other animals. Even seemingly small details were unified to highlight this proportional relationship. For example, under the premise of a uniform button size, a mouse's clothes have 1 button, while elephants and rhinos have many. Animals were also given respective positions based on size and greater physical functionality. For example, a police pig's tactical vest is Kevlar fiber, but rhinos and elephants can wear an 80-kilogram steel combat vest because they have physical advantages that humans don't. The entire city's infrastructure was also planned for different kinds of animals. For example, the train carriages are divided into 3 sections, large, medium and small, according to body type, and include a customized giraffe skylight. This is reflected in the station's infrastructure and all kinds of vehicles across the city. In many urban design concepts, thinkers agree that whether a city is civilized and developed is dependent on its infrastructure. Does it allow different forms of life and different body types to exist? That's at least a quick look at Zootopia.